Hello and welcome to Business Point on Global Television. I am Queen Agaba, and it's a beautiful Monday morning in the city of Abuja. I'll take you through some of the highlights in the business world before we go to our topic of discussion today. The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced a surge in foreign exchange inflow into the economy during February 2024. This increase is attributed to substantial growth in remittance payments from Nigerians abroad and heightened interest from foreign portfolio investors in acquiring Naira assets. The bank's acting director of corporate communications, Sidi Ali, revealed this in a document. Sidi said that overseas remittances reached $1.3 billion in February 2024, surpassing the previous month's inflow of $300 million by more than fourfold. Now let's join Kikelomo Okere for some business stories from Friday. All right, we'll just walk you through our topic for today. Now, women play a significant role in agriculture in Nigeria. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, women make up about 70% of the Nigerian agricultural labor force. That the majority of the agricultural work, including crop cultivation, livestock rearing, processing, and marketing, is performed by women. While women are the primary contributors to Nigerian agriculture, their contributions and the challenges they face are not always recognized and adequately addressed. Women in agriculture often lack access to resources, technology, markets, decision-making processes, and more. They also face gender-based discrimination and limited representation in agricultural policy-making and implementation. However, awareness of the importance of women in agriculture and the need to recognize and empower them is increasing. Various government programs, non-governmental organizations, and initiatives are promoting gender mainstreaming and women's empowerment in the agricultural sector. These efforts aim to bridge the gender gap, improve women's access to resources and opportunities, and ensure that their contributions are recognized and valued. We would be discussing, because it's the month of women and we're still in the week of celebrating women. My guest on the program, Ruby Ross, joins me as we discuss women in agriculture, food security, and the future of agriculture in Nigeria. I'll take a quick break, and when I return, the conversation begins. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you've just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television. My guest on the program, Ruby Ross, joins me as we discuss food security and the future of agriculture in Nigeria. Ruby Ross is the founder of CHC Agritech. Many thanks for joining me on the program. It's a pleasure to have you join me.
Thank you for having me, Queen.
Good morning.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning. So I just want you to, talk to me about the concept of Agritech.
Okay, CHC Agritech is on a mission to train smallholder farmers in Africa, predominantly women and young farmers. That is the way to go to preserve the generations of sustainable agriculture. So we believe in the aspect of training as well as technology. Most of the companies that are here that are working into agriculture only focuses on training, but lacks the technology. So in CHC Agritech, we ensure that after the training, there is something for them to bring into their farms or in their agricultural business and implement it for adoption and acceptance, and then come back for feedback.
That's beautiful. So how long have you been, here in Nigeria?
Okay, we were inspired by this concept in 2018, and in 2019 we started the venture. So on that note, we've been doing a lot of market research, and we found out that an average Nigerian family, one or two of them must be involved or directly or indirectly into farming. And so also looking at the economic aspect of the country, agriculture really a backbone in the industry. And so we thought, what if we could provide a type of training that we are that we are using already efficiently in our country, and then bring it here and teach the farmers about it. So in the last, from 2020, which is about around COVID time, so it was an opportunity for us to go and visit some communities. We started actually in the southeastern part, and then south-south. Then we also visited some areas in the northern region and the west. And all of that is that we just want to understand how is the agricultural setting in Nigeria. So the farmers that have understood our training and the technology have inspired us to come and stay and revolutionize it in Africa, starting in Nigeria.
Very well. And now I want us to look at food security in Nigeria. You've been here since 2018, and then I'm sure you are quite familiar, with all of the happenings, especially as regards agriculture in Nigeria. If you're familiar, you know that there's insecurity. One of the challenges, most farmers will tell you is that they can't go to their farms because, attacks and all that. And so that has posed as a challenge, a major challenge for food outputs. We have low food outputs, and we're experiencing food crisis. In what ways do you think that this fusion of agri and tech can be beneficial for farmers?
I think I have 2 points there. It's quite unfortunate it is happening in the country, and even in CHC Agritech, we are threatened to go and visit the communities because of this news. Although we can only rely our life in our Almighty God, the Father, But then it's good to have some precautions. That's why we also work with organizations and NGOs who can have access in security whenever we go and there's a need for us to go to communities. However, I think it's also a signal, a sign that the farmers in the community, the stakeholders should come together to combat this food security. Not only just an aspect that that it's only the government that should look into this. I think if everybody comes out in the community, and there will be massive activities in every community, the people that are disturbing these communities will also be threatened instead of them to be the one threatening the community. So I think it's good that there will be activities from the community themselves, and it should be an aggressive campaign. And then secondly, I'm looking at also that is the reason why with the trainings, we can always do the trainings virtually, or they can come and bring the representatives to our office, and we train the representatives so that the representative can now go back to the community and train others in the language that they understand. And good thing about it, apart from the technology, they can bring, apart from the training, they can bring about our technology products, which are mainly biofertilizers and probiotics. These are mainly beneficial microorganisms packed in small sachets that it's so easy to use. So even if there is a threat in food security, the less, there will be like you visit your farm lesser often than you used to visit, because you have some little tiny soldiers that can help you bring good things for the farm.
That's beautiful. Now, I want us to look generally outside of your foundation now, as to agriculture in Africa at large. You understand me? Now, what are the specific roles and contributions of women, in agriculture?
Well, that is a very good question. We found out also in our dealings in the different communities that majority of the labor force is women. 2/3 of our food in Nigeria is produced by smallholder farmers. 70% of them are women. We're talking about 30 million women who lacks the training and technology. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, in as much as the government is really pushing for agriculture, especially during the Buhari regime, President Buhari did really good job there by pushing agriculture, and then the new administration is pushing more about it. However, a ratio of 10,000 farmers against one extension officer is impossible to achieve the kind of smart agriculture that we're looking for. So we in the private sector, we try to contribute. So if in the next 5 years we could reach out 2 million farmers, at least we have done something. We have contributed a legacy for technology transfer in Nigeria. So having said that, it's not easy as a teacher to teach 10,000 farmers. And come to think about it, even the extension workers, they also need training. We also found out that they too, the extension workers, needs to have training. And the beauty about training, it gives you the options and alternatives to do and make a decision of how to go about with your farming. However, if you don't have training, you don't even know that there are actually options.
Okay. Now, as regards tech, do you think that Nigeria is tech inclined for agriculture? Considering how long you've been here, 2018, what's the difference that has occurred or happened in terms of tech, infusing tech into agriculture? Are we prepared? Do you see us, merging finally tech and agriculture?
Okay, the way I think a lot of companies, especially from Asia, are coming to introduce different technologies. There are hardware technologies, and there are also like soft technologies. In our part, we are focused more of microbiome technology, that is deploying beneficial microbes. This is the usage of biotechnology. However, the other technologies which are hard, maybe like precision farming, all these tractors, and digitalizing it. Yes, however, there is an obstacle and challenges on the part that where it uses probably massive energy source, where Nigeria is not so prepared on that aspect. So you have to bring in a lot of solar, green energy, and sustainable solutions. So if we also notice that majority of the farms in Nigeria, there are like only 3 to 4 months activities, and then the rest of the months are usually idle, and that's very unfortunate because you have the biggest landmass that you can farm and even feed Africa. So I believe that in some areas the technologies are prepared. I mean, it's ready, and that's the very reason why selecting for the type of technology that is more cost efficient, easy to use, and farmers will easily adopt it as soon as possible and come back for feedback for a short period of time is crucial for government, private organizations, agencies that are into agriculture, and more sustainable technologies would be a crucial decision for each of the stakeholders to look into.
Now, I just want you to mention, because you've seen how versatile the land is, how fertile, how large the land is. What are the opportunities, businesses, especially in Nigeria, agri-businesses that you think are lucrative or use more output that you think the government can focus on? Yes, for example, I give you an example. Maybe we talk about finished products. Maybe we get cocoa, instead of just exporting just you know, we make cocoa here, a large number of it, but we find that we import Bonvita, the finished products of, you know, these things. So how do you think that, you know, we can, what can the government do?
I think I will still go back to that electrification system, the problem of energy source, power source, because these industries can only thrive if we have sustainable power or energy source. And then, you know, that's the main problem. Even manufacturers are having complaints that their cost of operations is so high because light is not stable, you know. So with that value addition, it's very good because there are a lot of products. You know, Nigeria likes to import a lot because probably you can really pay for the foods you consume here. However, we in Asia, we like creating, and if we have something, maybe one item, we know how to create maybe 5 items out of it, because you can imagine that if you have employed 1,000 people for one particular byproduct, and then you have made 5 byproducts for that, you know that it radiates to, you know, how many jobs that you have created already. So value addition and focus more of supporting this agro-processing, putting also research and development, and then focus on what is really growing locally in the country to avoid the issues of pest and disease. It's whatever you grow here that is locally accepted, so that it's just to boost it, to put more efforts on what you're already doing. Like for instance, Nigeria is very good already in ginger farming. In fact, the best ginger is coming from Nigeria, and but then if we look at it, it's ranking sometimes second, it's ranking third around the world, you know, globally. But the rank between the first and the second it's very big gap. And knowing that recently Kaduna State, where most of these gingers are being grown, are being affected by some fungal attack. This is where we also like to point out that we allow us to give it a try, because we are dealing with a biotechnology. It's like a pandemic warfare that is involving fungal attack in the farm. So allow good fungi to terminate bad fungi. If there's any bacterial, allow good bacteria to terminate this bad bacteria. So that's where CHE Agritech comes into play, and it's eco-friendly, it's sustainable, it's even good for climate-smart agriculture, which, you know, aids our climate. The weather is so harsh now. The extremities of this weather affects our women, our smallholder farmers. Yes.
Okay. You know, we're basically now talking about agriculture and the future of agriculture for Nigeria. I want to understand, you know, these people that you train, these people who are involved in farming, what's the age grade like? You have young people amongst them, and how can we now begin to look into, I want to know the percentage of young people who are into farming. You know, here in this part of the world, when we say farmers, people expect that, oh, you are a farmer because, okay, maybe very little is given to you, or you're poor. That's the perception. But knowing the prospects and how much agriculture can yield, you know, if properly utilized, you know, right trainings, right equipment, and more focus is given, we know that agriculture or farming is a very lucrative job or business. How do we now begin to inculcate young people into, you know, agriculture? Well, first of all, let me know the ratio, the percentage, the number of people who are involved. Are they old? Are they middle-aged? You know, who are involved in agriculture?
Okay, I would say that out of this 70% of the smallholder farmers, which are looking at about actively 50 million farmers, smallholder farmers in Nigeria, merely about 20% that are young people. Yes, so still there's a lot of a big group is the older people, and they are very strong. They are very strong, and they're very good in farming, very aggressive in farming. However, to answer the question, how do we encourage the young people? Well, in CHE Agritech Africa, we encourage even young girls, even, you know, even as early as you are already interested to touch the soil, to do little nursery, you know, even in schools. We encourage in schools as well that they do some cleaning or farming or some ridging, yeah, so that this encourages them the value of growing our own food and also growing quality or more healthier food. So in that aspect, we can support more programs like that, like in schools, probably in the morning before they go to the class, they can do a little activities in the morning, or probably dedicate a day for a week or a month that it's entirely for agriculture, and maybe invite also personalities like us that could teach these children in the way that it is really on their level. Another thing is also in the families, they can encourage their children, their family members to grow the food that they eat. You know that a family of 4 or 5, if you grow 10 stands of tomato, you don't have to buy tomatoes again in the market. So you can see not just only you are producing the food that you like eating, the joy of seeing how that food is growing. At the same time, also you're saving some cost of no longer buying those things that you are growing. And the good part about it, you can grow in bags and even create a compost that you can utilize the waste, the organic waste you are producing at home. Another way is we have to, in the media aspect, we have to put up some stories, successful stories of young people that are successful in farming at their very young age. I know some people that in the morning they're so busy going to the market selling their produce, but in the evening time they just chill out, and sometimes you don't know that the person is a farmer, a very young farmer. So we have to portray it, we have to show it, showcase these stories, and allow and tell the youths that farming is cool. It's a cool thing. That's why we have to, you know, hashtag agriculturist. It has to be cool. You don't need to go to an agronomy class or to become an animal scientist before you can do farming. Just like I always inspire the people in the community, Adam, who was instructed by God to till the soil and farm for the nation, was not an agriculturist at the start. So it's passion, it's your dedication, it's when you're ready, just try it out. And the media has a role to perform on that, even our stakeholders in schools and in communities and all that. So I think in that way, as we keep on doing that, young people would have that mind that let me even just start something. It may be just a hobby at the start and becomes a part-time or even a full-time job. What's important, there's something that will ignite them, because jobs are not there. So we cannot, if I keep telling young people, don't look for jobs, you can't find any, but create one. You'll definitely have a lot of things to do.
Well said. You've spoken extensively about this. And true, we must, one way or the other, practice subsistence farming. So we'll take a quick break. When we return, the conversation continues. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, and I have been speaking with Ruby Ross, who has been talking to us about the future of agriculture in Nigeria. And she's spoken, quite very salient points, on the need to look into agriculture. Before the break, you were, talking about how, households, communities, the media, stakeholders, government agencies, and individuals basically have a role to play in encouraging young people to, participate in agriculture. I must agree, quite frankly, that true, the media has a role to play, because if you look at it, we don't really see so much. Even on the internet, we don't see, young people that much. The clout that comes with entertainment, dancers, and all that. It would be nice to have that clout as well on the internet. See people say, "Oh, I'm a farmer. I'm a proud farmer." I think that would also encourage young people to, participate in farming. Now, I want to, knowing that you focus on rural communities, what are the challenges, that farmers in those communities are facing?
Okay. Challenges, there are so many. If you start asking farmers now, maybe 10 farmers, 9 will tell them finance. That's one. And definitely, whenever I hear that, I just laugh. I told them we are not a loan company. We are not fintech or a finance company. But why do you need finance? I said that they are spending so much on inputs. They're spending so much maybe on antibiotics or drugs if it's for livestock, So I said, what if we could share to you something that where you can save costs? Yes, in that way you're also having some finance to keep in the future. So, these are the things. And then common challenges is degraded soil. Their soil, they don't understand what is happening in the, it's not really providing them the kind of produce that they used to have before. So that means to say that the soil has really reduced its value. And then, but we believe that it's not that it reduced its value. There are ways on how to rejuvenate this soil and develop this soil again. And that is because we have lost a lot of massive amounts of biodiversity in the soil, which is important in the ecosystem to produce better yield. Another thing is they have this, especially for poultry farmers out there, fish farmers, these high rates of mortality. They are being discouraged that a farmer who used to put 10,000 chickens will just put 500 chickens just for their consumption, and instead really to boost commercialization of poultry production. Same thing with other types of animals. So because of these high mortality rates, the level of infection in the country is high, and it's something that people don't see by their naked eyes, and so they are threatened by these pests and diseases. And this discourages them from putting up more in their farming cycles, So we told them, what if we have something that even, these problems like bacterial infection, pathogens overload, what if we have something that can combat that? Another problem we see or challenge is that some farmers in the urban area, they really want to put up poultry or livestock in the city area, and some areas that are rural before, and because of industrialization has become city already, they can no longer farm because of odor. Odor has hazardous for the environment. So what if we could solve that, and every household in the city can actually farm without your neighbor noticing that there is odor, there will be no flies, it will be a biosanitized farm, and it's eco-friendly. So these are some of the challenges. And then the access to inputs. Fertilizer now is so costly, and in as much as like that, we have found out that it's really also, harmful chemicals is flooding the market. So we always emphasize in our training about agroecology. It's the way of agriculture at the same time taking care of the environment, because the land that you are farming right now was the land given to you by your grandfathers. Is the same land that you're going to give to your next generation. So our land mass does not change So all we need to do is to take care of that same soil that was given to us, and and pass it on, a better soil, to the next generation to produce more food.
Okay, so those are the challenges. Now you highlighted finance, as a major challenge. You've been here, you quite commended, the administration of President Buhari, I beg your pardon, President Buhari, his support for farmers and agriculture in general, inclusiveness. How would you compare that administration to this administration now, because you're in this present administration now? So do you see that much inclusiveness, as regards agriculture?
I think it's too early to compare. We have to give the chance for His Excellency President Tinubu to he has a very good agricultural agenda. I have read his agricultural agenda, and it's fantastic, and everybody's awaiting for the implementation, and we would like to contribute on that aspect. If whatever ways we could bring in technology, training, outsourcing, the best people, the best whatever it is that would make Nigeria be the source of exports, not just for Africa but also for other countries. Europe, there's a vast market over there. So I think it's too early to compare. However, in the short period of time, he's been able to support agriculture, because in his news, he's always like, he announced that he's going to create 500,000, support for 500,000 hectares to produce food, and then, he is putting on more efforts on these grains as well. So I believe that it's too early to compare him, and I think everybody has its own strengths and areas of, so I just hope that the agricultural agenda that he has planned for, along with his committees in agriculture, would really be felt by the communities.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question because you work, directly with these rural farmers. You interact with them, you see them, and then you understand their challenges like you have highlighted here. Some time ago, about a month ago, I had the privilege to attend a meeting of women in agriculture, women who are grassroots farmers. And some of the challenges is that they hear about these agricultural programs, the funds, the loans, the grants, the fertilizers, the giveaways. They hear that, oh, the president is giving out this and this to farmers, but they don't get to grassroots farmers, those who are actually doing the work in the farm. Now, thus far, have you seen, how's the intervention programs, how much of intervention have you enjoyed from, the government and relevant agencies?
Well, so far, we just launched CHE Agritech in Abuja last year, sometime November, at the Federal Secretariat, and with the assistance of the Nigerian Economic Women Development Project, which is a project under the Ministry of Women Affairs. And we were also supported by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in the Agribusiness Department. So they have really commended the program. We call it Basecamp. It was co-sponsored by Watson Institute and Western Union Foundation, where they sponsored the samples and the training itself that we provided to 60 farm leaders. And some of these farm leaders, they are around Abuja axis, and some of them are also coming from other states like Niger, Kaduna. We just pick some representatives so that we can really scale and move, this is like more of a trainer's training. So these trainers can go and train. So on that aspect, I felt that the government too needs companies to come closer to them so that they know how to put it into their program. They are in the office, they are not in the farm, but they have representatives there. The representatives there has a mission to give them the right information so that it could be part of the planning. In other way, it would also be good for the government to come closer to the rural communities. If, for example, like if there will be like agro one-stop shop you know, every community, every local government has a representative in agriculture. So it's to really maximize the potential of that office, whereby anything that the farmers would need, if it's inputs, if it's tractor, if it can be available in the most minimal, you know, maybe the farmer themselves, they cannot afford it. Probably a cooperative of farmers or a group of them can pay for a tractor to go and develop the land, or maybe they can share for inputs and then also credit facility like that. It will be easier for these farmers to access. The programs are there, the laws and the policies for agriculture are strong enough for the farmers to be benefited. However, I think the lack of communication between the government and the rural communities has to be, you know, established and strengthened. And that is why in our programs, we always tell them that, have a way that probably in your cooperative, in your group, you know how to send your message to that, and prepare your proposals, prepare your what you need, so that it can be, you know, it can be part of whatever the government has plans for the communities.
Thank you. Because of our time, I'll just be asking you some very few questions now as regards finance. Finance, basically, I want to know how rural farmers can be supported with access to finance, market information, value chain development, opportunities, and all of that.
Okay. In terms of finance, there are already some programs on credit facility on that one. And there are private companies that buys off the products of the farmers, that provides credit facility. And if that's the case, if we could identify these companies that are already doing that, work with private sector. Just like I've said, there is only one extension worker to take care or to deal or to train 10,000 farmers. But if we bring in now the private sector who are into inputs, who are into credit facility, or any services that they provide to these farmers, they are the people that the farmers interact, like agro dealers. They are the people that the farmers confide to what their challenges are. And they are also the people that provides the services that the farmers need, you know. And if we could strengthen that by giving them enough inputs or credit facility, or support whatever they are producing, so that they too can support the farmers, and give them targets, how many farmers they will be reaching. So if we have, let's say, we are targeting how many farmers this year, each of this private sector that are identified, they should come and bring an impact review or a measurement of impact, that these are the farmers that we've been able to reach out, and from this point to that point we've been able to do this. And that way, I think every time the farming cycle comes, we're going to make progress on that. Yes, it's a work in progress, but then we need to have that communication between the farmers, the private sectors, and the government to come together and provide them the best thing that they need to produce more food.
Now, we'll cycle back to women in agriculture now, because like I said earlier in the program, we're still in the week of, or the month
Happy
of
International Women's Month.
Happy International Women's Month to you too. And so how can women be even more involved in agriculture?
You know, according to UN, women and girls are the least to eat in the communities, because we are known for providing food, yes, and taking care of our family. So they are already hardworking. Just like I've said, they can stay under the heat of the sun and then even bring their children into the farm. And what women need is they need to be abreast of what are the latest also in agriculture. Like there are some little tools and some things that they can do in their farm. Like for instance, you know, most of the women, they burn when they clear up the land. Like in a few time now, they will start clearing up the land, right? So all the women farmers there, don't burn the post-harvest waste in your farm. Instead, when you are not farming or right after harvest, you can plow the land and bring back the wastes and decompose those wastes so that the nutrient is recycled into the soil. And that way, it enriches the soil. Because especially microbial agriculture, when you put them up, it speeds up the decomposition process into the soil, and foods that are produced from microbially decomposed, you know, nutrient recycled post-harvest waste will save you 50 to 70% of fertilizer use and chemicals, and you know the harvest will be better. So they're very hardworking, but they don't know these things. So you know, and they don't know that it's harmful for the environment to keep burning it. We are emitting a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, which comes back to us because of those lost biodiversity. Another thing is they should be responsible in using chemicals too. Not only it's reducing the biodiversity, but it's also harmful for their health. Imagine some of these women, they don't even wear masks, they don't put, so they have to take care of their health. So because their health is very important. We pointed out that it's only few young people that are farming, so the older ones are getting sick. Yes, 30% of the farmers in Nigeria are getting sick every time, and some of them have chronic diseases. Imagine, sometimes they don't know that they already had cancer, even though they had symptoms of that. So, you know, these are the things that they should take care of their well-being. Being hardworking is okay, but also be part of a community where they will be enriched with training, good information, and they can always reach out. Also, farm leaders in the community, I also encourage that there are many information, free information you can find that is useful for them. It's for them to choose a particular community where they could get this information and be abreast of what's happening in the world. Because the farming of yesterday is not anymore the same of farming today.
But you know, most of these rural farmers are not literate per se. So it will take some sort of coming down to their communities to do this education and all that. So when you say be abreast, we most likely would have to go to them to tell them and give them this information, which I believe you are already doing. Now let's look at the challenges that women face quickly. The challenges, women in agriculture, like inequality, gender bias, you know, stereotypes because you are a woman in agriculture, and how do women go about
we already know the fact that women are less likely to own land, and even though they have so little land, they're still able to cope and still produce 70% of Nigeria's food. Yes, so you can imagine if we could channel some policies, we can create some policies that will allow women to even not really own, but at least to have them use this land to lease or however it's going to be, so that they can continuously and farm it in a bigger way. Imagine if there are 5 women farming in 1 hectare, and you've deployed 10,000 hectares for these women. You have created 50,000 jobs for these women already. So that is already job creation. And when their lives are uplifted, when they have a job, they can feed their family, they have extra to spend, you know, at least to change their hair, to buy something, and it can create an economic enterprise. Increasing the purchasing power of these women is very important, so that when their purchasing power is increased, the economic development also comes into play in the community and so into the country.
All right. Many thanks. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Yes,
it's extremely delighted to have you. Okay, let me ask this question quickly. Countries or people that have, because of the phase we are in Nigeria, that have gone through this phase that you think are doing better, that we can emulate in terms of, you know, the agri-sphere and all that?
I think with Nigeria, you can emulate the countries that have similar characteristics or attributes like tropical countries like Asia. I am inspired by the statement of the former ambassador to the Philippines, Dr. Faraounbi Akinyemi. I thank him for, also paving the way for me to come to Nigeria. He said that the next giant economies will be PINE. That is Philippines, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Ethiopia. And what's common among these four countries are they have a lot of labor force, young people, and then the population is there. At the same time, these are developed third world countries, developing countries, that where it's untapped. And the Europe and other countries, those that are coming to develop these places. So it's very good if these countries will be allies to each other and to learn from each other. I must comment, I think the Nigerian Economic Women Development Program, with respect to the International Women's Day, they have recently launched a what to call bilateral exchange of relationship between the women in Nigeria and the women also in the home country. For example, Nigeria, Philippines, Women Association. Women there may come here to maybe do something and teach, then women here can also go and it's a bilateral relationship. So basically, it's a good initiative of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, and hopefully within this March, before the during the culmination of the International Women's Month, it will be launched, and it will be there's a program for that at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay. Thank you so much. You've quite made spoken extensively, truly, around the future of agric in Nigeria. Thank you for coming on the program. We do hope that you grace our platform some other time.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoy, and thank you to all the listeners out there. We look forward that we could contribute in your agribusiness, in your agriculture. We hope to be your prime partner very soon.
All right, and that's it on Business Points. We've been speaking with Ruby Ross, who's the founder CHC Agrotech Africa. Many thanks for staying with us, and from all of us here, it's bye. See you next time.